The line between acting and reality blurs in unexpected ways. Audiences assume what they witness on screen remains a carefully choreographed illusion. Directors yell, "Cut!" Actors retreat to trailers. The magic dissolves. But what happens when that boundary vanishes entirely? When performers abandon pretense and the camera captures something undeniably real? 10 actors made choices that shocked the industry, sparked endless controversy, and forever altered how audiences perceive authenticity in cinema. Some defended their decisions as art. Others remained silent, letting the footage speak for itself. The question lingers. Where does method acting end and something else entirely begin? These stories challenge everything viewers believe about film, performance, and the cost of pursuing absolute realism. Before we explore these boundary-breaking moments, ask yourself, how far would you go for your art? Subscribe now and join us on this unflinching journey through cinema's most controversial territory. Chloë Sevigny and Vincent Gallo. The scene that defined controversy. Chloë Sevigny engaged in unstimulated fellatio with Vincent Gallo in the 2003 film The Brown Bunny. The explicit scene sparked immediate polarization. Critics feared it would permanently destroy Sevigny's rising career. She later reflected on the decision, stating it represented reclaiming herself and pushing artistic boundaries. The film centered on a motorcycle racer confronting his traumatic past. Sevigny defended the work as an art film that belonged in museums rather than multiplexes. Gallo, who directed and starred, humorously prepared by drinking pineapple juice, claiming it improved taste. Roger Ebert, initially hostile toward the film, later praised its artistic merit after Gallo re-edited the work. Sevigny's career survived the controversy. She secured roles in Big Love and Zodiac, proving her talent transcended the scandal. The scene remained divisive. Some viewed it as courageous artistic expression, others as gratuitous exhibitionism. Sevigny maintained the explicit content made sense within the film's emotional architecture, a meditation on loneliness and longing rendered with unflinching honesty. Anna Paquin and Stephen Moyer. When Marriage Met Method. Anna Paquin and Stephen Moyer portrayed Sookie Stackhouse and Bill Compton in HBO's True Blood. Their on-screen romance mirrored reality. They married in 2010. The show featured numerous explicit scenes, but one particular sequence in the final season sparked intense speculation. Sookie's encounter with werewolf Alcide Herveau, played by Joe Manganiello, appeared remarkably authentic. Rumors circulated that Paquin and Manganiello engaged in actual intercourse while cameras rolled. Paquin addressed the speculation obliquely, noting the bar for awkward situations was terribly high in their household. Moyer directed several episodes, including the controversial scene. He gave actors freedom to fully commit, urging them to go for it to ensure authenticity. Neither confirmed nor denied the specific rumors. Moyer lightheartedly discussed asking his wife who she was making love to on camera today, acknowledging the bizarre professional dynamics. The ambiguity served the show's mystique. True Blood thrived on blurring boundaries between supernatural fantasy and visceral reality. Whether the scene crossed from simulation to actuality remained deliberately uncertain, leaving audiences to draw their own conclusions about authenticity. Shia LaBeouf and Stacy Martin, Lars von Trier's provocation. Shia LaBeouf and Stacy Martin starred in Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac, a film examining sexuality with characteristic provocative intensity. Initially, producers planned using CGI and body doubles. Actors would simulate intimacy, while adult film performers' bodies were digitally superimposed during post-production. This approach promised artistic integrity without requiring explicit performance. LaBeouf and Martin rejected this compromise. They chose to perform actual intercourse on camera. LaBeouf reportedly sent von Trier a personal sex tape to secure his role, demonstrating commitment to authenticity. He later stated the film was exactly what audiences suspected, von Trier making a movie about what he wanted to explore. Martin remained relatively reserved discussing the experience. She described the technical aspects as surprisingly boring. Extensive planning, strategic positioning, prosthetics, creating safety barriers. The scenes appeared realistic precisely because they were carefully orchestrated. Martin emphasized that despite authentic elements, significant preparation ensured actor comfort and safety. The film sparked predictable controversy. Critics debated whether explicit content served artistic purpose or constituted exploitation. LaBeouf's approach reflected his broader career pattern, embracing extreme methods, sometimes to his detriment, always pursuing performances that felt undeniably real. Kieran O'Brien and Margo Stilley, 9 songs of intimacy. Kieran O'Brien and Margo Stilley engaged in unstimulated sex for Michael Winterbottom's 2004 film 9 Songs. The movie depicted a passionate romance through explicit acts, oral sex, ejaculation, penetration, all performed authentically. Both actors confirmed they engaged in actual intercourse during filming, creating significant controversy. O'Brien defended the decision passionately, questioning what justified the fuss. The film portrayed 2 people in a monogamous relationship having sex, behavior he hoped everyone experienced. His perspective emphasized the film aimed for authentic intimacy, not sensationalism. Stilley agreed, distinguishing between pornography and their work. Having sex with her boyfriend wasn't porn, just hot sex. This differentiation countered critics who dismissed the film as pornographic. Politicians like Anne Widdecombe condemned it as unsuitable for mainstream theaters. O'Brien remained untroubled, suggesting offended viewers simply shouldn't watch. The film pushed traditional boundaries, prompting conversations about sexuality's representation in cinema. Its unprecedented openness challenged industry norms regarding explicit content. 9 Songs became a landmark case study in authenticity versus exploitation, art versus pornography. Distinctions that remain contested, subjective, and culturally dependent. Robert Pattinson, the method behind Salvador Dali. Robert Pattinson portrayed Salvador Dali in Little Ashes, embracing method acting with uncomfortable dedication. One scene required depicting orgasm. Rather than simulating the moment with a partner or using camera tricks, Pattinson chose authentic self-stimulation on camera. The decision stemmed from pursuing performance authenticity, not provocation. Pattinson discussed the experience candidly, revealing he once considered quitting acting during this production. Multiple scenes required nudity and actual masturbation, not simulation, but genuine performance. He acknowledged the absurdity with dark humor. His orgasm face was recorded for eternity. The scene represented a pivotal career moment, demonstrating willingness to expose profound vulnerability and challenge cinematic conventions. Critics noted such daring choices added depth, enabling audiences to connect with complex emotional layers. Pattinson's approach in Little Ashes underscored his artistic outlook. For art, no limits applied. His method reflected broader questions about authenticity in performance. Does genuine physical response create more honest emotional portrayal? Or does it simply constitute exhibitionism disguised as dedication? Pattinson believed simulating the intimate act would have compromised the scene's emotional truth. His choice remained controversial, but undeniably committed. DeBell and Alan Novak, X-rated Wonderland. DeBell and Alan Novak starred in the 1976 X-rated musical fantasy Alice in Wonderland, directed by Bud Townsend. The film featured explicit, unstimulated sexual activity unprecedented for productions with theatrical ambitions. DeBell's performance included actual oral sex on Novak, a startling discovery for many viewers expecting something softer. Despite graphic content, Alice in Wonderland achieved massive commercial success, earning over $90 million on a $400,000 budget. Roger Ebert provided a surprisingly favorable review, characterizing it as a genuine curiosity with wit and style. He noted the film was relatively mild for X-rated cinema, praising DeBell's charm and innocence. She projected freshness and naivety that charmed audiences even during alarming scenes. DeBell later revealed she was initially unaware of the film's explicit nature. She believed she auditioned for a family-friendly adaptation of Lewis Carroll's classic. Upon arriving on set, she discovered the production's true character, a revelation that left her surprised and hesitant. The film illustrated how actors sometimes enter projects without fully understanding their nature, making decisions with incomplete information that permanently affect their careers and reputations. Fiona Flanagan and Chris O'Neill, Joyce's unfiltered vision. Fiona Flanagan and Chris O'Neill starred in the 1985 adaptation James Joyce's Women, exploring love and longing in 19th-century Ireland through Joyce's literary lens. Flanagan embodied Joyce's female characters with passionate resolve, while O'Neill provided sophisticated masculine vulnerability. The film's controversial element was its commitment to realism. One key scene featured Flanagan and O'Neill engaging in actual unsimulated intercourse. This choice aimed to mirror the intense, unbridled emotions found throughout Joyce's storytelling. Flanagan defended the decision, explaining they wanted to bring reality to the characters. The goal was truth, not titillation, a crucial distinction separating artistic intention from exploitation. The scene sparked debate about whether explicit content enhanced or detracted from literary adaptation. Joyce's work explored human sexuality with unflinching honesty. The filmmakers believed matching that honesty required abandoning simulation. Critics remained divided. Some viewed the authenticity as respecting Joyce's vision. Others considered it unnecessary exhibitionism that distracted from the narrative's intellectual and emotional depth. The film raised enduring questions. When does authentic performance serve the story, and when does it simply serve itself? The line remains subjective, contested, and dependent on individual interpretation. Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton, Monsters Balls Raw. Intimacy. Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton starred in Monsters Ball, their graphic sex scenes challenging mainstream cinema conventions. The stark, candid nature of their encounters sparked persistent speculation that they engaged in actual intercourse rather than simulation. Berry set specific terms for participation. She would only perform if Thornton agreed to equal nudity. Both actors appeared extremely exposed. Neither confirmed nor denied the rumors, adding to the film's enigmatic aura. Thornton addressed the scene in interviews, acknowledging he felt nervous beforehand. Once filming began, the scene became essentially improvised. The script contained dialogue, but they largely winged it, a spontaneous approach that contributed to the sequence's raw intensity. The production team insisted filming occurred on a closed set without actual sexual activity. The original uncut version shown at the Berlin Film Festival included more graphic content, later edited to avoid an NC-17 rating from the MPAA. Berry's performance earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress, the first black woman to receive that honor. The film's explicit scenes generated controversy, but also demonstrated that sexuality depicted with emotional honesty could serve dramatic purpose rather than existing merely for titillation. Sienna Miller and Hayden Christensen, Factory Girl's ambiguous reality. Sienna Miller and Hayden Christensen's performances in Factory Girl stirred considerable debate. The film depicted Edie Sedgwick's life with Andy Warhol, including notably explicit sexual content. Rumors circulated that Miller and Christensen engaged in actual intercourse during filming. The speculation grew intense enough to dominate discussions about the movie. Miller categorically refuted these allegations. She credited the scene's convincing nature to their acting abilities, not genuine intimacy. The assertion emphasized that skilled performance can create illusions so persuasive that audiences struggle to distinguish simulation from reality. Some reports suggested these rumors were deliberately leaked to generate interest in a film that encountered production and release difficulties. A source indicated the story emerged from Christensen's camp, attempting to counter persistent gay rumors by emphasizing his heterosexual credibility. The narrative became more about controlling public perception than reflecting truth. Factory Girl illustrated how controversy can be manufactured or exploited for marketing purposes. Whether the explicit scene involved actual intercourse or skilled performance mattered less than the conversation it generated. The ambiguity served commercial interests, keeping the film in public discourse long after its release concluded. The Notorious B.I.G. Audio Authenticity in Ready to Die. The Notorious B.I.G.'s debut album, Ready to Die, represented a foundational hip-hop work examining his life with unflinching honesty. Among its most daring moments was an interlude that some believed captured the actual sound of Biggie receiving oral sex. This controversial inclusion challenged distinctions between reality and artistic performance. The intimate sounds heard by listeners could be interpreted multiple ways: raw sexual expression or bold commentary on masculinity and vulnerability. The ambiguity served Biggie's artistic purpose. The interlude reflected his complex relationship with life and death concepts that permeated the entire album. Critics observed this boldness fostered intense audience connection, prompting reflection on authenticity versus artistic creation. Hip-hop has long embraced explicit sexual content, but typically through lyrical description rather than captured audio. If the interlude was genuine, it represented unprecedented vulnerability for a genre built on masculine bravado. The controversy ultimately enhanced the album's impact. Ready to Die became celebrated not despite its provocative elements, but partly because of them. Biggie's willingness to test limits and defy expectations established him as an artist committed to authenticity, even when that authenticity made listeners uncomfortable or sparked moral outrage. These 10 performers made choices that forever altered their careers and cinema's boundaries. Their decisions illuminate 3 uncomfortable truths about art and performance. First, authenticity carries enormous cost, professionally, personally, and reputationally. What serves the art may damage the artist. Second, the line between courage and recklessness remains perpetually contested. Some view these choices as brave artistic commitment. Others see exploitation, exhibitionism, or simply poor judgment. Third, audiences struggle to separate performance from performer. Actors portraying explicit material often find themselves defined by those moments, their broader work overshadowed by singular controversial choices. The performances spark endless debate. Does explicit content elevate cinema by pursuing truth, or degrade it by abandoning essential boundaries? These actors believed authenticity justified the risks. They pursued something beyond conventional performance, a rawness that simulation couldn't capture. Whether that pursuit was noble or misguided depends entirely on perspective. Cinema exists in the space between reality and illusion. These performers collapsed that space entirely, creating art that audiences cannot easily categorize or forget. Their work challenges viewers to examine their own boundaries around artistic expression, authenticity, and the sacrifices made in pursuit of truth on screen. Which of these stories challenged your perspective most? Drop the performers' initials in the comments. If you believe art demands uncomfortable conversations, subscribe and stay with us as we continue exploring cinema's most provocative territory. Remember, great art doesn't always comfort. Sometimes it confronts, provokes, and forces us to question everything we thought we understood.